to our Honorable Madam Vice Chancellor, Professor Shashikala Vanjari ji, today's eminent speakers, Mr. R. Ramanan, Professor S.K. Shukla, and Professor Nilima Bhagwati ji, all dignitaries of the university present here, और आप सभी दर्शकगण और श्रोतागण जो कि हमारे YouTube और Facebook के माध्यम से हमसे जुड़े हुए हैं, आप सबका मैं हार्दिक स्वागत करती हूँ और अभिनंदन करती हूँ। Now I would like to request Dr. Madhvi Dharankar to play the university song, please. Dr. Madhvi. संस्कृतास्त्री पराशक्ति स्वर हमारा है. An enlightened woman is source of infinite knowledge. We believe in that. And अब मैं प्रोफेसर आशीष पनात को आमंत्रित करना चाहती हूँ और आग्रह करूंगी कि वो प्रोग्राम के ऑब्जेक्टिव के बारे में हम सभी को बताएं. ओवर टू प्रोफेसर आशीष पनात सर.
धन्यवाद मैडम. इस चर्चा में उपस्थित आमंत्रित सभी मूर्धन्य विशेष सम्माननीय गणमान्य वक्तागण, सम्माननीय गुरु महोदय, सम्माननीय गणमान्य वक्तागण और मेरे सारे कोऑर्डिनेटर, सहकारी गण तथा सभी श्रोता वर्ग, इस संगोष्ठी में आप सभी का स्वागत है. मुझे बेहद खुशी है कि हमारे सम्माननीय कुलगुरु महोदया डॉक्टर शशिकला
मेरी आवाज नहीं आ रही.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है सर. टेक्निकल इशू.
I think monitor network problem.
प्रॉब्लम है नहीं. ओ
In that case, I would like to tell or inform the August gathering and audience that today's objective of the program is to be discussed on the topic of scope for integrated and collaborative research, IPR, and startup in NEP 2020. That is going to be handled by the Professor R. Ramanathan. Then we have today's topic is transforming culture of assessment. That and our third discussion area would be to for today future education and if there is some problem with Dr. Panath, can I request Madam Vice Chancellor for her welcome speech, please?
I think we have to start.
Yes. So now the objective of the theme today has been discussed by Professor Ashish Panatji. Now I would like to move ahead and I would like to request to our dynamic, motivational and very own, always energetic leader, Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Shashikala Vanjari ji to welcome today's eminent speakers. Over to you, Madam.
सभी को सादर प्रणाम। आदरणीय प्रोफेसर रामनाथन नीति आयोग,
Please.
प्रोफेसर रामानंद नीति आयोग, डॉक्टर प्रोफेसर इमेरिटस डॉक्टर भक्ति, मेरे आदरणीय सचिव डॉक्टर दीपक देशपांडे, मेरे सभी अधिकारी, संचालक डॉक्टर पानाट, इस कार्यक्रम को आगे ले जाने वाले समन्वयक डॉक्टर मीरा शंकर, डॉक्टर माधवा, प्रमुख प्राचार्य, शिक्षाविद तथा अनेक माध्यमों से हम सुनने वाले अनुभव सभी श्रोता आप से स्वागत करते। हमारे विश्वविद्यालय उसको पूरा करने वो उपक्रम है राष्ट्रीय विमर्श तथा चिंतन इलेक्शंस ऑन एजुकेशन पॉलिसी। मित्रों, आप सभी कि देश में गए साल से हम लोग सोच रहे थे कि स्वतंत्र हुआ, स्वतंत्रता को अभी 70 साल होने वाले और हमारे देश की शिक्षा हमारी उम्मीद 19 जुलाई 2020 को हम जब राष्ट्रीय को देखते हैं तो गौरव अनुभव, क्योंकि पूरे राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति में नेशनल इथॉस बात कही। हम विजन पढ़ते हैं तो पॉलिसी पढ़ते हैं, ध्यान में आता है कि पॉलिसी इन विच एंड एजुकेशन स्कीम rooted in Indian ethos that contributes directly transforming Bharat sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing education to all and thereby India a global knowledge power. So we have, or we can say, we are very firm to convert our Rashtra into a superpower or superpower Rashtra. How it could be, and then I remind myself there is one tapo moolam hi sadhanam. Research is the root. मित्रों, हम सभी जानते हैं कि ये राष्ट्रीय आज हमें मिली को मैं मैग्ना कार्टा कहती हूँ, इट्स अ ग्रेट चार्टर, बट व्हाट पेन्स हैव टेकन बाय द स्टेकहोल्डर्स, अभिभावक, शिक्षाविद और बहुत सारे लाखों लोगों ने इस शिक्षा नीति पे काम किया है। और आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदय डॉक्टर कस्तूरी रंगन जी ने हमें ये एक बहुत अच्छा क्या बोलेंगे हम लोग, राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति हमें सौंपी है। मैं निश्चित रूप से सभी हमारे ये जो राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति में जुड़े थे उन सभी अध्यक्ष से लेकर सभी समिति के सदस्यों का अभिनंदन करती हूँ, आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ। हमारी महिला यूनिवर्सिटी ये बहुत पुरानी यूनिवर्सिटी है देश के लिए और दक्षिण पूर्व एशिया के लिए गौरव की बात है कि भारत की नहीं तो दक्षिण पूर्व एशिया की पहली यूनिवर्सिटी है, महिला यूनिवर्सिटी। और हम लोग सभी शिक्षा क्षेत्र से जुड़े हैं, तो एक बात हमें ध्यान में आती है, मैंने जो कहा है तपो मूलम ही साधनम, रिसर्च इज द रूट ऑफ ऑल क्वेस्ट। मैं दोबारा दोहरा रही हूँ क्योंकि हम जो भी काम करते हैं उसके लिए हम छोटा बड़ा मध्यम रूप से हम संशोधन अनुसंधान करते ही है। विजन डॉक्यूमेंट या विजन ऑफ द पॉलिसी में जो लिखा है कि वी हैव टू मेक भारत सस्टेनेबल एंड इक्विटेबल एंड वाइब्रेंट। अभी ये इक्विटेबल और वाइब्रेंट बनाने के लिए हमें अनुसंधान करने की आवश्यकता है। अनुसंधान के बिना हम लोग इसको वाइब्रेंट सोसाइटी या वाइब्रेंट राष्ट्र और नेशनल इथॉस का संवर्धन करना हमारे लिए मुश्किल होगा। और इसलिए पहला जो पहलू है अनुसंधान, इस पहलू को लेकर हमने आमंत्रित किया है प्रोफेसर रामानंद रामनाथन, और वो बहुत ही अच्छे ढंग से स्कोप फॉर इंटीग्रेटेड एंड कोलैबोरेटिव रिसर्च, आईपीआर एंड स्टार्टअप्स इन न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी पे बोलने जाएंगे। To make self-reliant Bharat, there is need to encourage Make in India initiative, and it needs extensive and intensive research. Now, to keep the standard of our research, दूसरा सवाल मन में खड़ा होता है कि कौन करेगा ये रिसर्च। अनुसंधान के लिए भी हमें ऐसे शिक्षक चाहिए, ऐसे अध्यापक चाहिए, ऐसे संशोधक चाहिए कि उसका भी, और उसके लिए हम तो विषय आज चुना है टू कीप द स्टैंडर्ड बेस्ड प्रोडक्ट एंड इनोवेशन। वी शुड हैव नॉलेज एंड इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी, टेक लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट्स our teacher our and for that purpose we need to have some standard. Bhagavati will throw light on what we need to already document while setting the goods. They need to have the national professional teachers, and with the help of CT we able to the parameter, and definitely outcome will be in form of teachers. Dr. Nilima will focus on that. Third aspect which we covered in today's session and transfer culture of मूल्यांकन, ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है। आज और से हम लोग everybody who is connected to education, how to assess the students. I know the current Maharashtra. I was involved in examination committee, was constituted by a state government, and we had a number of problems how to assess students and consider the point of evaluation assessment and पूरे शिक्षा नीति एक मुद्दा बार बार आ रहा है कि हमें की निर्माण करना है, हमें एक बहुत ही जिम्मेदार नागरिक निर्माण करने की शिक्षा नीति बनी है। और इसलिए पर हम लोग आमंत्रित हैं S.K. Shukla. He is Professor of Mechanical Engineering and he belongs to IIT. मुझे लगता है सीमित शब्दों में और सीमित समय हमारा जो उद्देश्य है, हमारी जो पहल है, हमारा जो प्रकल्प है 4 दिन का, इसको पूरा करने जा रहे हैं। को विनम्रता से आदर प्रणाम करती हूँ और कि आप से हमारा महिला राष्ट्रीय में अपना गिलास के समान देना चाहिए। हमारी अपेक्षा भी बहुत है कि आप आपके विद्वत्ता से हमें लाभान्वित करें। इसी शब्दों के साथ के धन्यवाद आपको।
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you for welcoming our all speakers. We are delighted to announce in the morning just now that Mr. R. Ramanan has already joined. Welcome you, sir. And without wasting time, because we know that your each and every minutes and moments are very precious, we are going to introduce you very small and brief introduction. Then we would like to hear you out, sir. So I'm once again honored and pleased to introduce an eminent personality whom we have with us today is none other than Mr. Ramanan Ramanathan. Mr. R. Ramanan is working as a mission director in Atal Innovation Mission. He has graduated in electrical engineering from IIT Mumbai and joined TCS, where he played an instrumental role in the growth of TCS with a variety of responsibilities ranging from product development, technical marketing, global business development, and general management of large center of TCS. Then he took the role of managing director and CEO of CMC Limited, which we all know a subsidiary of the globally acclaimed Tata Consultancy Services. Mr. Ramanan led CMC's rapid transformation from a domestic government organization to a global IT private sector organization. You will be amazed to know that under his leadership, CMC share price grew over 2,100% between October 2001 to 2014. Nowadays, he's working as a mission director of, as I have told, that Atal Innovation Mission, which is a flagship internal innovation initiative taken by the government of India under the chairmanship of our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi ji. Mr. Ramanan has been instrumental in the launch and execution of several nationwide innovation and entrepreneurship initiatives, resulting in very few of them I would like to highlight. More than 10,000 Atal tinkering labs being established in schools nationwide, with more than 5,000 operationals in more than 650 districts, over 2 million students having access to innovative tools and technologies like 3D printers, robotics, miniaturized electronics, do-it-yourself kits. Maybe these things are growing day by day, but whatever so far we have, I just can very small work of him can be highlighted. More than 102 Atal incubation centers being established in universities, industry fostering startup. Welcome you, sir. With this very brief introduction of Mr. R. Ramanan, I would like to invite him to begin his today's session, which is based on scope of integrated and collaborative research, IPR, and startup in new education policy 2020. Once again, welcome you and over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Meera, and good morning to all the distinguished people in the audience. Professor Shashikala ji, Vice Chancellor of SNDT University, Mr. Ashish Panak, good friend and a colleague for me in the incubator days. All of the people who have joined from various parts of Bombay, or Mumbai, and parts of the country. Is there an echoing that is happening?
Nothing. It's clear, sir.
It's clear? Okay, great. So first of all, I do hope that all of you are safe and healthy under these very difficult COVID-19 circumstances, and every one of you is practicing the safeguards that need to be practiced during these difficult times. and which have been advocated by your university institution, the local government authorities, or the health authorities. It is indeed a very important and a very relevant topic that you have chosen for your webinar, and that is the importance of intellectual property, the importance of entrepreneurship and innovation, the importance of the startup world in India, as well as how are we going to align ourselves with the new education policy that is being rolled out across the country. One of the very important things for India, as all of you are aware, is the demographic dividend. We have 1.3 billion people in our country. We have 10,500 engineering and related institutions. We have over 39,000 colleges. We have 150 million young students entering into the workplace. And upon this, 150 million people is going to ride the hope of 1.3 billion people in our country. And therefore, education plays a very, very important part, a very important role in being able to leverage this demographic dividend. If we don't capitalize on this demographic dividend, which is the envy of many a country, if we don't take advantage of the fact that 65% of our country is under 35 years old, and if we don't empower them with the necessary tools, technology, capabilities, financial capabilities, access to high quality education, access to innovation, entrepreneurship, capabilities across the country, then we will be doing a great disservice to our young people upon whom the future of this country depends. In fact, Atmanirbhar Bharat, the clarion call that the government of India has made and the Honorable Prime Minister made in his remarkable speech during the COVID-19 times, is very, very important and very relevant for us to deliberate upon. For after all, what is Atmanirbhar Bharat? Atmanirbhar Bharat means that we are self-reliant, and we have to be self-reliant not only from our individual point of view, from our family point of view, from our societal point of view, but also from the state as well as a national point of view. And an Atmanirbhar Bharat is a Bharat that will not only be able to stand on its own legs, but will enable others across the world to be able to stand on their own legs. So it is not a selfish Bharat, but it is a selfless Bharat. A Bharat where we are able to create the necessary innovations that the rest of the world is going to benefit from. And that is why the Atal Innovation Mission has been formed, in order that we are able to create and promote an ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship across the length and breadth of our country. Now, if you want to do that, and if you want to harness the demographic dividend, what we also need to do is build the culture of innovation and build a culture of problem solving and innovative thinking in our young students. We have a lot of our institutions today have been focusing on rote learning. We are all interested in getting good marks in an exam in the school, go to the next grade, get good marks again, get into a great university, get good marks again, go to a university abroad, and get good marks again, join a job. Be it in Google or IBM or TCS or Wipro and so on. So while this has stood us in very good stead so far, it is not a solution for us in the future. We need to make sure that our young students not only become great job seekers and are empowered with the skills that the modern world needs, but they also become job creators. So we need to become a nation of job creators, not just job seekers. And if you want to do that, you have to inbuild the culture of innovation, a knowledge of intellectual property, what it means to be able to create your own solution, your own innovation, upon which you have the rights and with which others can benefit. And therefore, the Atal Innovation Mission has launched on many initiatives across the country. First, to build a culture of innovation, and second, to create that ecosystem of entrepreneurship that will enable young innovative minds, young budding startups, find a place, find a home where they are able to realize their innovation, convert their innovation into a product, convert that product into a company, convert their company into a multinational, and be able to make an impact to the rest of the world. Now, in all of this, we also need to understand that our demographic dividend consists of more than 49% women and girl children. And therefore, I applaud the SNDT University who have been taking this cause very strongly and seeing in multiple ways, how do you empower women? How do you empower the girl child? How do you convert them and give them the opportunities that they deserve? Because if we are able to convert from our 13% women entrepreneurs in our country, we have only 13% women entrepreneurs in our country. But if you are able to create an environment where more than 50% of our entrepreneurs are also women, then we would be doing a remarkable justice, not only to our population, but to the economy and to the wellness and welfare of our country. And therefore, it is very important when we consider innovation, entrepreneurship, are we giving a level playing ground? Are we allowing that level playing field so that irrespective of gender, irrespective of your economic caste, creed, or where you're coming from, your geographical location, irrespective of that, are you having equal access, equal opportunity for being empowered, for being able to grow, for being able to realize your dream, become an innovator and a potential job creator of our country? And that is why we have been setting up thousands of adult tinkering labs at the school level, which is going to create an latest of technologies like 3D printers, robotics, IoT devices, miniaturized electronics, augmented virtual reality. And we are creating hundreds of incubators which are going to foster thousands of startups. As you're aware, we have already launched the establishment of more than 100 incubators, out of which 70 are already operational. We are having more than 1,500 startups already come out of this environment. And what is more heartening for me is that 500 of them are women-led startups, which shows that given the opportunity, given the empowerment, given the access to equal capability, women, girl students, and women are able to create tremendous impact through their entrepreneurial initiatives, through their innovations. And which is why, because of the Atmanirbhar Bharat, the 5 pillars upon which the Atmanirbhar Bharat stands, the first pillar, the pillar of demographic dividend, which we have now talked extensively on, is so important to enable empowerment of every person in this country, irrespective of where they are located, so that they build a culture of innovation and they are given an opportunity to convert those innovations into impact by incubators and innovation centers. The second pillar that the Honorable Prime Minister has referred for Atmanirbhar Bharat is the pillar of infrastructure. We need to be able to establish, of course, the physical infrastructure across the country. We are a large country with 600,000 villages. We have more than 8,000 towns, small towns and cities. We have only 8 tier 1 cities. We have 715 districts, out of which 115 are aspirational districts, which are at the bottom of the pyramid. We need to make sure that the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure, as well as in today's context, the digital infrastructure and the digital highways are created, so that no matter where you are, the hilly district, the tribal district, the coastal district, we have adequate infrastructure, both in the physical form as well as in the digital form, to be able to enable our young population to have job creation capabilities and innovation capabilities. Which is why we are setting up community innovation centers all across the country, because these community innovation centers will focus on how do you foster local community-driven innovation. If you're in Goa, or if you're in Visakhapatnam, or if you're in Sikkim, or if you're in Salem, the needs of these places are very different from the needs of Mumbai, Delhi, Madras, Calcutta, and so on. How do you ensure that you foster the local community jobs and innovations that's going to benefit the people there? If you're in Goa, for example, how are you going to boost the tourism industry? How are you going to boost the cashew nut industry? How can you boost the fishing industry? How can you boost the shipbuilding industry? These are all local to, and the mining industry. These are all local to Goa. So you have to create innovations and entrepreneurship capability in all of these places suited to what that region needs. If you are in Sikkim, how are you going to ensure in that hilly terrains of Sikkim, transportation is enabled, access to healthcare and education is available? How do you ensure that water management, hydroelectric management, all of these innovations are enabled? How do you ensure that the climate change does not affect and deforestation does not affect the beauty of Sikkim, which is a great tourist center and which everyone who goes there is able to enjoy? How do you ensure that you are able to take the tribal crafts in the areas, in the northeast areas, and be able to sell it to the rest of the world, from Salem into San Francisco or from Sikkim to Seattle? How do you ensure that? That is what is a challenge in front of us. And therefore, it is very important for us to be able to focus on that pillar, the pillar of infrastructure, to be able to create innovations in entrepreneurship that will bridge the gap and reduce the distance, the physical distance and the digital distance between the consumers and the rest of the world. The third pillar that the Honorable Prime Minister has mentioned is the pillar of technology. Technology has become affordable, accessible, available, and advanced. How do you leverage all this technology to make sure that they are bringing benefit to the common man? We have a number of problems in our country, and that means a number of opportunities. We are a country of 1 billion people with 1 million challenges. But 1 million challenges are 1 million opportunities for us to be able to embrace and to create solutions for. Because every time you create a solution for any one of those challenges, you are actually creating a solution not only for that part of India which needs it, but for the rest of the country and also for the rest of the world. We are therefore to focus on the pillar of demand, the fourth pillar, the pillar of demand. The demand of 1.3 billion people, the demand of 600,000 villages. And we have requirements, whether in every vertical that you talk about: agriculture, healthcare, education, biotechnology, manufacturing, MSME sector. These are all sectors that need to be catered to in order. Transportation, you name it, textiles, every vertical needs solutions. Every vertical needs a new breed of entrepreneurs who are able to look at technology and redefine the solutions which are available in the marketplace. This is a great opportunity for you to reimagine a new world order. The COVID-19 has been unprecedented in terms of its impact. It has created national lockdowns. It has created disrupted supply chains, not only in India, but across the world. It has also created tremendous grief to lives and livelihoods. You cannot have millions of migrant workers flocking to the 8 tier 1 cities and hoping that their problems are going to be solved. It is not a sustainable solution. We need to create thousands of centers of innovation and job creation in our country. We already identified 100 smart cities. How do you make them smart? By making them hubs of innovation, hubs of learning, hubs of job creation, where you can have equal access to healthcare, education, waste management, water management, electricity management, entrepreneurship, and all of that. And that calls for every university like yours to embrace the new education policy. The new education policy is that we should acquire the 21st century skills that are so very important for us to move into the next century. The 21st century skills are a combination of technology skills which are becoming relevant and upon which many solutions are being based, but it is also a number of other soft skills that you need to have in order to be able to progress in the marketplace. You need to have entrepreneurial skills. You need to have great communication skills. You need to have art and commerce and science blending together in the 21st century. If you look at any innovation today, that innovation cannot be a purely technical innovation. It has to combine art, it has to combine science, it has to combine financial innovation, it has to combine marketing innovation, it has to combine empathy for the customer and customer support and service innovation. You not only need product innovation, but you need process innovation as well as service innovation. All of these things have to come together, and that means a great appreciation for many things that make a startup success. How do you ensure that they create solutions that can scale? How do you ensure that they create technical solutions that have an impact on society? How do you ensure that the solutions are reliable and continuously growing? How do you ensure that the technology that is being used is affordable, accessible, and available? Because you cannot say, I'm going to bring in a solution with technology which is so costly that nobody can afford it. So you need to have affordable, accessible, and available technology and appropriate technology. We should be the capital of frugal innovations because India's demands are many and its affordability is less. We are still 22% of our country below the poverty line. We are 44% of our country agri-economy base. We cannot afford very costly innovations, but we cannot afford compromising on the quality of innovations either. So we are in a unique spot, a unique opportunity to create world-class frugal innovations, leveraging the demographic dividend that we have, leveraging the demographic demand that we have, and leveraging the advent of affordable, accessible, and available technology, and leveraging the fast-growing economy that India is living in. These four factors are converging together to create potentially the innovation nation of the world. That's the opportunity, my dear friends, all of you have who are out there. And in this, the role of the new education policy in being able to stimulate not just knowledge, but also technical skills, vocational skills. It is not enough. Many of us in India have always said we want an engineering degree, but we looked down upon technical skills and technical capabilities. If you look at any advanced economy like Germany or America or whatever, there is no differentiation done between technical skills and academic engineering skills. Everyone who is vocationally trained and they can rise to the highest levels of an organization if you have acquired skills in a particular area, which is a vocational training institute. And you are open. All of this is open to credits and joining any university for a degree without having to have other qualifications below it. That's what the new education policy is also aiming at. We should be able to enable and empower our technical institutes to be able to impart the necessary skills and enable our young students to move and graduate, even to do a PhD, perhaps in some subject related to the same. So we need to ensure that also our teachers embrace the new education policy. The teachers have to understand what the NEP means. It's going to be difficult to adapt to a changing world, but change is the only constant in our world. It is only through change that we improve. As the great Vivekananda said, stagnation is death, change is immortality. You need to ensure that we continuously adapt ourselves. It is those who adapt, survive, and you have many sayings related to that. So we need to know how to be able to adapt to the new demands of the world, a post-COVID-19 world, a world where if we have the next pandemic, we should be ready. If we have the next climate change disaster, we should be ready. And not only that, we should see how we can prevent the next global pandemic or the next climate change disaster. And that is why artificial intelligence is becoming so relevant. The ability for us to get data through a million different sources, social media, communication technologies, computing technologies, we are able to get all that data. We are having technologies and algorithms like big data and analytics, which is able to process this large amount of data. And then we have artificial intelligence, which is able to make sense from the various patterns that emerge from this data to be able to create decisions, real-time decision making. Artificial intelligence has been there for quite some time in the literature, but never has it become more relevant than now because of the integration of sensor technologies, Industry Revolution 4.0 technologies, advancement in computing, cognitive technologies, and in 5G communication technologies. All of them coming together is enabling the growth and the powering new AI solutions across the world. And herein, again, lies a great opportunity for India, because India has proved itself in the ITES world. We are now a $191 billion ITES industry, a world-class industry servicing the needs of many global giants across the world. Not only that, all the large companies, the tech companies, are being led by Indian innovators. Look at Microsoft, headed by Satya Nadella, or a Sundar Pichai heading Google, or a Shantanu Narayan heading Adobe. You have many universities across the world where you have Indians as the deans of such major universities. So we are having our Indian capability manifests itself in places where you have an ecosystem that encourages them, that empowers them. And we need SNDT and similar universities across India to be able to empower and encourage our youth to create those bastions of innovation and entrepreneurship that's going to spring 1,000 Nadellas, 1,000 Sundar Pichais, 1,000 Abdul Kalams from our universities and from our youth of our country. And that is when the fifth pillar of Atmanirbhar Bharat, the pillar of socio-economic progress, will be achieved. We need to make sure that we bridge the haves and the have-nots. The digital divide, the economic divide needs to be bridged. We cannot be a country which can grow only economically superior, but neglect the societal aspect of 22% of our people being below the poverty line, of 115 of our 715 aspirational districts being aspirational districts, where they are at the bottom of the pyramid in terms of healthcare access, 1 in 3 infant mortality, 1 in 5 maternal mortality, 1 in 4 infant stunting. These are things that need to be eliminated. And it can only be eliminated through innovation, through invention, through research, through development, and through addressing socio-economic good. Social innovations are as important as economic innovations, commercially driven innovations. And remember that when you do a great social innovation, money will automatically pour into that innovation. The example of the Khan Academy or Baiju are great examples of how the market is valuing bringing education to the masses through simple technology interventions. That is the power of doing social good. Money follows it automatically. So I am delighted today to be able to share a few thoughts on this occasion of how do we embrace the new educational policy? How do you empower innovators? How do you stimulate entrepreneurship? How do you create an appreciation of intellectual property rights in the young so that they are aware of the benefits and the power of having intellectual property creation in our own country? Because it is that which will make India truly Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to share this thought. All the very best. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightened thought. Actually, what we have understood through you that yes, we have got a lot of opportunities, immense opportunities are there. If we create or become the culture of innovation, probably we can reach height of the zenith, whatever we require or desire for, as our ancient Indian, they have done it. So probably if we follow the new education policy, I do believe, as per your suggestion, that we would be again become the global power through our innovative ideas, considering that demographically we are too young, still 65% people are under 35%, 35 years of age old. Sir, I think that there are some questions. If you have some time, then we can ask the questions and accordingly you can reflect on that.
Sure.
So with your permission, yes.
I have a question. Good morning to everybody. I am Professor S.K. Shukla.
Yes.
And thank you very much, Sri Ramananji. He has given very good presentation. I have two questions. Both are interrelated. First question is that 80% of our population live in rural area. And our new education policy also focuses on skill development and training innovation. We have a Center for Grassroots Innovators at IIT Vechu under my leadership. So, first question is how your Atal Innovation Mission or the policy, because rural area is vulnerable in many cases, many aspects. So, how this is going to help 80% or 20%? It is good. I mean, if Atal Innovation Centers are already running, different whether what are the performance, I do not comment on that. But for 80%, we don't have really in education policy, everything is written, but we don't think that it is very good, very nicely linked up. And the second question is that how this Atal Innovation Center can help us for getting some assignments for our grassroots innovators? Assignments means all the aspect of help and other thing which are required for grassroots innovators. Both questions are very contemporary for me. Please advise. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shukla. And I think you have raised a very important issue, and that is 80% of our population is still not in the tier 1 cities, but in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. And I do not know how much you know about Atal Innovation Mission, but the focus of Atal Innovation Mission has been primarily on that 80% and less on the 20% that we are talking about. Of the 5,400 Atal Tinkering Labs that have been set up in India, there are 715 districts that we have, and Atal Tinkering Labs are in 680 of those districts. The remaining districts are districts with very less.
I will interrupt for my sorry for interruption. I will interrupt because we are getting many. You are getting many grassroots innovators.
Shukla sir.
Yeah.
I think sir is.
Let him complete.
So probably it will be better for us, better for the audience, and for sir also.
Okay. No problem. Yes.
Let me complete the answer. 70% of our adult tinkering labs, where we are creating the culture of innovation, because these are going to be the people who will go into the universities, who will be the future innovators of our country. We cannot be thinking of just today, I want the country to become innovative. It won't become like that. You have to be able to create at the grassroots, at the student level between grade 6 to grade 12, the culture and the problem solving capability. Now, from the Atal Tinkering Labs, 70% of our Atal Tinkering Labs are in government-aided schools. 70% of them are in non-tier 1 cities, and 70% of them are in girls and co-ed schools. So this is creating an atmosphere of how do you innovate in non-tier 1 cities of India. Now, when we talk about creating a culture of innovation, we are actually exposing them to problems in and around the community they live in. We don't ask them, here is a problem, you solve it. No, we tell them, go to the community, go to your local hospital, go to the local playing ground, go to your local school, go to your local mall, or go to your marketplace and see what are the problems that the people are having, and come back and create a solution. So we are instilling in them a culture of identification of problems and solving of problems. Next, our Atal incubators, 65% of our Atal incubators are in non-tier 1 cities. They are in tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities of the country. Again, if you see the list of the 68 incubators which are out there, you will find them in Tirupur, you will find them in, say, Sikkim, you will find them in Assam, and so on and so forth, many places across the country where these are not tier 1 cities. And why are we setting up them there? Because we need to encourage the startup environment there. We need to be able to create startups which will address the needs of the local districts and the states and so on and so forth. And a number of our innovations, a number of our startups are in agri-tech, they're in healthcare, they're in education, they're in biotech, they're in local transportation, they're in renewable energies. These are all areas that are much needed in our country, from not only from a growth point of view, but also from a sustainable development goals point of view. Third, we are setting up Atal Community Innovation Centers in rural India in tier 2, tier 3 cities. This is not set up in tier 1 cities. We have already launched 26 Atal Community Innovation Centers in 26 different remote areas of the country. What is the purpose of an Atal Community Innovation Center? It is to enable grassroots innovations which are happening in different parts of the country in community, which is helping local communities find expression and implementation through these community innovation centers. So the idea is, like I mentioned, I gave you the example of Goa or Visakhapatnam or Sikkim or Jodhpur or places like that. Here, community innovation centers, which will be set up in remote areas of the country, will help foster local community innovation. And community innovation that is being done elsewhere will get implemented and scaled up and piloted in many of these places. The fourth thing that we are doing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I have a humble suggestion to you, sir, Ramanan sir, Dr. Panat here. Please do not neglect tier 1 cities like Mumbai, because we are also planning to head the women entrepreneurship mission, and we really want to very sincerely contribute in. So, I mean, I have seen ACIC, your mission and all, there in tier 2 and tier 3 people are going to get preferences. But please don't neglect tier 1. Thank you.
No, it's not a question of neglecting anything. Okay, it is a question of giving equal opportunity and focus on a diverse set of needs that India is all about. India is tier 1 as well as tier 2 as well as tier 3 as well as rural India. Okay, so nothing is preventing, for that matter, SNDT to set up a community innovation center in Satara or someplace. There's nothing preventing that. So you have to be able to, where is the community innovation center being set up is the key, and which is the organization which is setting it up and where it is going to be located, that is the key. So we are actually, and we are promoting private partnership where 50% of the funding should come from the university and its partners, and 50% will come from this. So many initiatives are there. I don't want to justify that other. I mean, there is a lot we can do more, and we can continue to do more. But I hope it addresses at least partly Mr. Shukla's question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. In fact, it was such an inspiring...
My question is still not answered properly.
Okay.
I want to ask one thing. At our grass center, many people from rural area comes with different problems. They have good idea. We don't have that much of facility funds to get value addition on their problems. If it is there in tier 2 and tier 3 and rural area, why they to come to Varanasi? They should go to and work all expect and develop their products in tier 3 or in villages only. They come and we don't have funds. So we manage something from our CST UP and something like that, and we help them to value add their product. So it's my experience. Maybe you are right, but
I think
my experience is that it is not going to grow.
I would like to interview.
Thank you. We don't have much time.
Professor Shailendra Shukla ji, I think this is a lot of issues are there in the process of implementing the new education policy. There are various thought processes are germinating in all of us mind. So probably we should not make this platform a sort of debatable platform. A lot of ideas we have to discuss with Mr. R. Ramanan, and if he would agree, that I would rather request on behalf of everybody that once again through Dr. Panath or maybe our Honorable Madam Vice Chancellor, who can request you to be here, and we will have a great opportunity, as we are told today that sir is too busy and probably he has to go for some other meeting. So I think we would restrain ourselves not to stretching the questions which could be a part of debate. I hope that my idea of intervening here might have been understood by Shailendra Kumar Shukla ji. And is there any short question?
I think overall, I would just say that everyone has a role to play in furthering Atmanirbhar Bharat. And it is not possible. I mean, ideally, the world, in an ideal world, you have infinite funding, infinite sourcing, infinite resources. It's not that ideal world we live in. We live in a world where we have to be very practical about how much can government fund, how much should private sector fund, how much should CSRs fund, how much should NGOs participate, how does civil society get engaged in it. And then we all have to play a role in being able to bring them together. That is where the opportunity lies. For example, Atal Innovation Mission, we are now roping in so many private sector partners, so many NGOs who are our partners. We have got 4,500 mentors who are voluntarily mentoring Atal Tinkering Labs and incubators and startups. So unless you are able to come together, you will not be able to solve the problems of a country like India. And everybody cannot be looking out, can you give me funding just because I have a great idea? There are processes in place. The supply is less than the demand. If I open up a challenge, for example, I had 10,000 universities applying for Atal incubators. I can only give 70 or 80. I have only so much funding. Now all the others will think that why have you not supported me? But there has to be a process, there has to be funding, and we have to look at new policies and new enablement, which is how the government's 2% CSR funding has also come into being, so that private sector can equally contribute to all of this. So I think we need to deliberate in small groups like yours. You should deliberate in a group as to how one can take advantage of schemes which are out there offered by the government, and what are some of the things that we should do on our own as an institution, and what are some of the things that we as individuals can do in order to better the situation. I think that with that, at least I would like to leave on a positive note that India has everything that it takes to become one of the leading innovative nations of the world. As the great Abdul Kalam said, dream big and you'll achieve great things. Dream small and you'll be limited by your own dreams. And as the great Vivekananda said, if you can believe in 1,000 gods and goddesses but do not believe in yourself, you're doomed. So I would encourage everybody to believe in their dreams, believe in themselves, and go out and put your little bit of how you can better the world that we live in, and the world will become a better place. Thank you so much for giving me an
Thank
opportunity to
thank
participate.
you so much
I
for
have to
coming here.
unfortunately leave for
So
another meeting, but
definitely
it
cherish
has been a great
meeting with
pleasure.
you. We would definitely cherish meeting with you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh, Moving on ahead with the another speaker. We have eminent speaker Professor S.K. Shukla ji, and now I would like to invite Pradna madam to introduce her and proceed the program further. Thank you, madam.
थैंक यू डॉक्टर मीरा. नमस्कार आदरणीय कुलगुरु मैडम, प्रकुलगुरु, कुल सचिव एवं मेरे सहयोगी और हमारे श्रोतागण. एसएनडीटी महिला विश्वविद्यालय की ओर से मैं आज के हमारे वक्ता डॉक्टर एस के शुक्ला जी का स्वागत करती हूँ और उन्हें आपसे परिचित कराना चाहती हूँ. प्रोफेसर शुक्ला जी राज्य विश्वविद्यालय के कुलगुरु रह चुके हैं और आप 2 दशक से भी ज्यादा समय आपका योगदान औष्णिक अभियांत्रिकी एवं अक्षय ऊर्जा संबंधी क्षेत्रों में दे रहे हैं. आप आईआईटी बनारस हिंदू विश्वविद्यालय के ऊर्जा एवं संसाधन विकास के संस्थापक समन्वयक हैं. साथ ही आप इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर फॉर ग्रासरूट इनोवेटर के समन्वयक हैं. आपने एशियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी बैंकॉक, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लीड्स यूके, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी मॉरिशस, GIFU यूनिवर्सिटी जापान के साथ अनुसंधान सहयोग प्रस्थापित किए हैं. आपका अक्षय ऊर्जा के क्षेत्र में कार्य सराहनीय है और इसी वजह से आपको यूजीसी टेक कंसोर्शियम पुरस्कार से सम्मानित किया गया है. इसके अलावा विज्ञान के प्रसारक के लिए आपको GIFU यूनिवर्सिटी जापान द्वारा JSPS फेल पुरस्कार भी प्राप्त हुआ है. आप न केवल अक्षय ऊर्जा में आपका महत्वपूर्ण योगदान दे रहे हैं, बल्कि आप हमारे छात्राओं को इस क्षेत्र संबंधित अनुसंधान के लिए प्रोत्साहित करते आ रहे हैं. सर, हम आपका हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं और आपसे निवेदन करते हैं कि आप राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति 2020 में प्रतिबिंबित मूल्यांकन के बारे में आपके विचार व्यक्त करें. थैंक यू वेरी मच सर. ओवर टू यू.
Thank you, madam. Good morning to all of you, Honorable Professor Vice Chancellor, Madam, the coordinators, Director of Incubation Center at SNDT Women University, Dr. Ashish Panath, all the audience, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, it is a great pleasure, and at the outset, I want to welcome you all. I have just asked some questions in the previous presentation. Although it was very energetic and very informative presentation, but there are still some questions always there in terms of implementing any educational policy or any policy to the rural and deprived people in the background of our country, which has 80% of that population. I really bother about those people. That's why I ask question. I call them and I help them in our center in grassroots innovators, and I found that government policies are not actually helping them. But anyway, it's good that you have invited me, and I'm ready to share my thoughts about the culture of assessment in terms of new education policy. What is culture of assessment? The culture of assessment exists in an organization or institution where faculty, staff, and administrator care to know what assessment result they produce and how these results relate to desired institutional outcomes and learning outcomes for the students, their parents, and other stakeholders. What does it mean? When we go for any kind of evaluation or assessment, even in NBA and NEP, we found that there are certain objective program educational objectives, and there are some program outcomes, the course outcomes. This is what we do the assessment on the basis of interaction and on the basis of different aspects of evaluation. As on date, we have different norms for deemed universities, central universities, for different individual standalone institutions. New education policy, it says that for region of quality, norms will be the same for all and not as per ownership. What does it mean? It means that we will have to go for a certain kind of assessment process, and we should have a clear-cut guidelines and goals for which we are going to assess. What is the goal of assessment? When we talk about the culture of assessment, there should be some goal, and goal is assessment of institutional effectiveness and assessment of student learning. What is institutional effectiveness? The capacity to produce a desired result. You all know that it is, if you talk about the 3P in technical institution, first P is punctuality, second P is performance, and third P is pricing. So all these are institutional effectiveness goals. Actually, if they are punctual in giving education, giving results, giving everything in time, if the performance is good, the student's performance is good, outcome is good, and if they are priced properly in the market, this results in institutional good effectiveness. So the capacity to produce a desired result. In other words, you can say there should be systematic ongoing process of collecting and analyzing data pertaining to the performance of the institution and or any unit or any department. Use of the results from the analysis to improve the performance of the unit or institution. So we'll have to have that kind of regular evaluation, regular data collection and analysis, and this based on individual mission. Institute cannot run, it is institutional mission. There should be goals, vision, and values, and that requires a clear presentation of expected outcomes. Evidence based and directed towards improvement drives decision making and priority setting, integrated with planning and budgeting. So how do you develop the culture of assessment? This is from the top in terms of institutional expectations, then leadership, and the resources. And from the bottom, in terms of department and program level adoption and understanding and commitment sharing by the department's people. So what is assessment? A student should be able to learn, is able to learn or not. First thing is, this is a establishing clear, measurable, and expected outcome of student learning, ensuring that students have sufficient opportunities to achieve those outcomes, systematically gathering, analyzing, and interpreting evidence to determine how student learning matches expectations, and using the resulting information to understand and improve the student learning process. So we'll have a comparison what we have already and what we are going to do in new education policy. Like in traditional approach, we have planned and implemented it without consideration of learning outcomes and goals. This is what in previous institution policy, education policy exists. and we, with help of NBA and NEC assessment, we do that. That has come to a level that we can now carefully align with learning outcomes, goals. The most important thing we want a student to learn. So this is there in our new education policy. From education and skill, they are combining together, and they note the outcome and goals which is aligned to their learning. So the second is, in our previous policy, only focused on memorized knowledge was given preference, given importance. Like in this policy, focused on thinking and performance skill is the motto. In third, other thing which is very important is often poor quality is given because faculty and staff have had few formal opportunities to learn how to design and use effective assessment strategies and tools. In this one, developed from research and best practices on teaching and assessment methodology. So in this policy, this is a very good important point has been incorporated, that it is based on research and best practices from different, this has been made from different aspect of knowledge, and the people have given lot of advices, all has been incorporated, and this is developed from research and best practices on teaching and assessment methodology. In the previous policy, it is used only to evaluate and grade individual students, with decisions about changes to curricula and pedagogies often based on hunch and anecdotes rather than solid evidence. Like in this policy, we have just reversed it, and we have used to improve teaching and learning as well as to evaluate and assign grades to individual students. This is what we have in this policy. And lastly, we have not used to tell that story. Stories are told through anecdotes that rather than broader evidence from representative students. In this one, you used to tell our story, what makes our institution, our program distinctives, and how successful we are in meeting student and societal needs. Why it is there? Because in everything, in every aspect, after implementation, we'll see that there is a student learning outcome assessment process. This is slow, and this is based on program mission and goals, expected student learning outcomes, instructions, method, criteria of assessment, and analysis. And we will have a analysis and result which will be used for continuously improving the assessment process and the program mission and goals. So what is the expected student learning outcomes when we are going to assess? That specific learning outcomes for student at program level or institutional competition level, if general education or student completing program must demonstrate observable changes in behavior. Only critical outcomes like effectively define effectively what student know, cognitive, think effective, and do behavioral, or all the three included. So we'll have to see about how we do the method, how do we adopt the method or criteria of assessment of analysis of result. This is the last thing which we will have to do. And in this case, selection, design of valid, meaningful assessment tools for specified program outcomes will have to, it has been clearly given. It says many things about the primary education. A lot of transformation will be done in primary education, but for higher education, there are certain measures, multiple measures, like direct and indirect measures. Like we have to have a single assessment approaches with direct and indirect measures, and qualitative and quantitative. Both measures can be used, but analytical scoring and identification of weakness and strength is the prime focus in this assessment criteria. This is the new culture of assessment which we'll have to see, and we are going to see after implementation of this policy. And finally, what we would summarize that identifying areas of strong performance and areas in need of improvement, we could have a better assessment in this new education policy. With this, I think finish my presentation. We'll have a small question and answer if you want. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. There is one question. The question goes like this, that we are talking about the multidisciplinary approach in higher education. So what are the challenges we will have in this multidisciplinary approach in higher education especially? So what will be our challenges of assessment in this multidisciplinary approach? That is the question.
Actually, government has formulated the policy in which they have written MERU, multi-educational research universities. They want to establish in my opinion, this is not government opinion and anybody opinion. It's my opinion. When I read this, there are challenges in developing the MERU, multi-educational research universities. First challenge is that there are a lot of difference in the culture, educational culture, program educational objectives, and finally outcomes in technical and non-technical education. So if you are going to implement the policy where in IITs, if you are going to teach the history, political science, and everything, I mean, all the art and some other commercial subjects, there will be a entirely challenging task to how to integrate those subjects in engineering degree, or where we are going to immerse. Actually, I'm unable to see that where it will be. So this is a first challenging task, that multidisciplinary university, the development, overall development in teaching environment will be a slightly challenging task. And in terms of evaluation, also there will be a different culture of assessment for technical and non-technical education system, because we have a lot of practical component, and we do the assessment in for different projects which are practical industry partnerships. So there will be a challenge for that. And the second challenge will be the faculty response. Faculty response. If you are going to give the task of teaching from technical to non-technical, that will be a very much challenge for faculty also. So that has to be taken care when these kind of and third, of course, the employability, that will have a huge difference and huge problem in psychological problem, that a technical IIT graduate will get a very good job, and where arts graduate will not get a good job in same university. That will also have a kind of discontent. So this has to be taken care for it's as a challenge. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So there are a few more questions, but I know I think you have to leave because you have some another meeting.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for portraying. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
So,
thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you, Kunal.
Thank you so much. Thank you. In fact, it was little more time consuming. So initially we had to squeeze. Indeed, it was very nice interaction with you, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Manisha Madhwa to introduce our next speaker, Professor Nilima Bhagwati ji, and proceed the program further. Thank you.
Thank you, Meena ma'am. Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chancellor, members of SNDT Women's University family, and the august audience in our Facebook, YouTube, as well as Google Meet. राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति 2020 की एक मुख्य धुरी शिक्षक और उनकी प्रशिक्षण है, और जैसे कि विगत 2 दिनों में वक्ताओं ने बार बार कहा है, अच्छे शिक्षक व्यक्ति निर्माण, समाज निर्माण एवं देश निर्माण के लिए अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण है। इस विषय पर अपने वक्तव्य देने के लिए आज हमारे साथ उपस्थित हैं प्रोफेसर नीलिमा भागवती। उनका परिचय आपसे करवाते हुए मुझे अत्यंत प्रसन्नता हो रही है। Professor Neelima Bhagirathi is an emeritus professor in the Department of Education at Guwahati University, Assam. She has also been the Dean of Social Sciences and Humanities, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya, and Deputy Director of Academic Staff College, Guwahati University. An alumnus of Guwahati University, she has done her doctoral thesis on co-curricular activities organized in secondary schools of Assam and its relevance on physical, emotional, mental, and social aspects of adolescent students. She went on to do her postdoctoral studies in Teachers College of Columbia University, New York. A prolific writer, she has over 25 international publications and many more national and local publications to her credit. She has been a resource person in at least 14 of India's university and has been decorated with many awards for her contribution in the field of education and leadership. She has been nominated as member of various prestigious boards at national and international level. Particularly, she's been the International Secretary General of Council for Teachers Education Foundation for the third consecutive term in 2019. We are honored to have Professor Neelima Bhagirathi with us. We could not have asked for a better person to address a large gathering of teachers than Madam. Over to you, ma'am. Hello? 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 Hello?
She's not audible, I think. Manisha madam?
Yes.
I think her speaker is also on, but Sharma ke sir, आपल्याकडे problem नहीं है ना?
She, in the morning, she was very much audible, and she wished all of us.
Yeah. I think she will rejoin. She just left. Now she will rejoin.
Let us wait for a few minutes, and I'm sure she will rejoin. In the meanwhile, if our audience has any questions relating to teacher education, I don't think we have a better person than Professor Bhagirathi to address them. Yes, she has joined. Hello, ma'am. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? The electricity got snatched off. My Wi-Fi also gone. Back to
technology has its challenges.
Thank you so much, Manisha ji. I don't know, you have given a very long sort of introduction. I don't know how far I'm capable of that. Anyway, pranam and namaskar to all. It is indeed a privilege for me to be associated with this webinar, and I have been asked to speak something on the National Education Policy 2020, particularly on the area right now I am working on it. Friends, it's a really good privilege to see some of the familiar faces virtually. Okay. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Shashikala Vanjwari, the honorable speakers, Dr. Ashitji, the participants, ladies and gentlemen. Well, before starting, I don't know how much time I have been allotted, but I will try to cover up, within a very short time. And I welcome any questions from your end so that I can give you some of the ideas which I have collected after going through the national education policy. So friends, we are living in a country which really needs no introduction, the oldest civilization. It's a country which is unparalleled in the world. Our knowledge, our languages, our sanskar, our tradition, whatever you call, our culture, it is so rich. It is rich in science. We happen to have the first physician from India. Just see, my friends. But somehow, we feel sometimes very bad that are we successful in transmitting all this to our present generation? If we go through the textbooks, or if we go through the other reading materials, we do find, like the Bharat, what it was and what we have in Bharat, our heroes, etc. These are not being reflected. And besides, we had 2 national education policies earlier. After independence, 1947, it was the Kothari commissions whose ideas made to establish the first National Education Commission in 1968. Okay. Then the next one came, which we all know, and we're all teaching in our majors, teaching to our major students in the education classes and also in the teacher education classes, that is the NEP 1986. But very sorry that none of these 2 policies could fulfill the expectations, the needs of the country in their policies. Though they have done some areas, but nothing has been so very effective till now. So coming to the 3rd National Education Policy 2020, friends, it is the first national policy of the 21st century. And it is indeed, we are proud that under the initiative of our Honorable Prime Minister of the country, Narendra Modi ji, his great initiative, and also the untiring efforts given by the chairperson, Dr. K. Kasturirangan and his teammates, the National Education Policy 2020, it was placed before the nation on 29th of July. And when we go through that, and when I went through that policy, I think about a number of times I went through that, I just feel so proud that this is the policy where it is looked from the scientific angle when we talk about the educational structures, when we talk about the early childhood education, when we talk about the teacher education, etc., etc. And we know now that Bharat, India, is now moving towards transformation for sustainable education development in agriculture, in science, in technology. And in fact, what the first speaker has said, we are moving towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. That is something really great. Now, therefore, we are ensuring that NEP 2020 that will connect well to the sustainable development goal of education and other related goals, including building an inclusive society. Friends, once upon a time, the scholars, the students from the foreign countries came to our country to study in Nalanda, to study in Takshashila, to study in Vikramashila, etc. And that somehow with time, as you all know, that diminished or gradually came down. But now, what we are trying, what under our Honorable Prime Minister saying, that we have to bring back Vishwaguru. We have to establish again the Vishwaguru. So that responsibility lies on all of us. That responsibility lies on all of us, and practically we the teachers, who has been referred as the central focus point even in the National Education Policy 2020. We have a number of responsibilities. We have number of works to do before us to take ahead this policy, which has come long after, I think, 34 years to 35 years, in fact, the first policy, where the 21st century skills has been added, where the Bharatiya knowledge, philosophy, thoughts, etc. has been added. And therefore, this policy reflecting the current needs of the country, as well as how to bring back our old traditions, knowledge, etc. to our learners. Friends, therefore, it is something which is really, we all should be proud of, a policy we should be proud of. Now, one thing, a question arises sometimes, that how will the school education, or what will be the education be? And to that, I have only 3 straight points. As per the National Education Policy 2020, it will help the children how to learn. The rote memory will now go off. It's like pouring water into the bottle. The water flows and nothing remains in the bottle later on. So how to learn is something which is really of great importance. Second is the critical thinking, the reasoning, or say the problem solving. All that has been included under life skills. So now there will be lesser contents in the curriculum, and more will be given stress on how to think, what to think. That will be given more, and how to solve problems, and how to do the critical thinking, how to come out of the inbox. And the third thing, which is really important, that is the multidisciplinary approach, friends, which is innovative and creative pedagogy, experiential learning, and which will be very much inquiry driven and also discovery based. So these are some of the areas which has been touched in the National Education Policy 2020, and which is there's a big difference with the earlier policies which were established earlier. I just, before going to the teacher education, which is my assigned presentation today, I will just refer very briefly about Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, he said in his educational philosophy that the aim of education should be life building, man making, and character building. And we find all this in the National Education Policy. So we do hope this policy will take ahead and will bring a new generation of learners. Just yesterday, I was present virtually in a webinar. I told them that, look, now we have the alpha generation, the children who are born in this century. So the teachers have to face the children in the classroom who are intelligent, who can pick up very quickly. Sometimes it may happen that if the teacher is not prepared, they will put questions to the teachers. The teachers had to help these children how to learn, how to do explorative studies so that they can find out the answers by themselves. So big change has come in the educational sector, which is highly welcome. Like school education, like higher education, when we come to the teacher education, we have been talking about the teacher education for many years, that teacher education is not serving the real purpose. The Third Commission said in the very opening paragraph that the destiny of the nation is being built in the classroom. But is it being built in the classroom? As we, or you must have gone through the J.S. Verma Commission, I think it was in 2012, there, which was established by the Honorable Supreme Court. And very rightly, after the survey, it was stated that around, in 2012, around more than 10,000 teacher education colleges which are standalone teacher education colleges, they are selling degrees. If this is the situation, then how the destiny of the classroom will be built? In the classroom will be built? That is a big question for us. So the mindset of the teachers has to change. They have to be ready to accept the new changes which are coming to them. And they have to move ahead to build a new set of learners who will be the leaders of tomorrow, who will take over the reign of the country tomorrow. So friends, this is a very big responsibility in front of the teachers. I still remember that since I'm associated with teacher education, I think right from 1998 till now, that once there was teacher education just for hardly for 9 months that the course undergoes. Then came 1 year, then came 2 years. Now we are coming to 4 years integrated teacher education course, which is very shortly called ITEP. Now this is one of the steps to transform the teacher education which has been taken. Like engineering or like medical or say Ayurvedic, which is very much professional. Teacher education also needs to be very professional. So during this 4 years period, which is called integrated, be it will be offered where? It will be offered in the multidisciplinary higher education institutes and universities. And that too, after clearing 12th class, they can enter into the ITEP. One thing, my friends, it is sure that those students who want to be teachers genuinely, who are aspirant teachers, they want to work, obviously, it is a big opportunity for them. Because during this 4 years' time, they will learn not only the multidisciplinary approach, but they will have the real practicum, which they can transfer to the school. So this is one of the great provision which has been made in this ITEP. And besides, the 4 years integrated B.Ed to be dual, that is, we call it major holistic bachelor degree, call it, in education, as well as in specialized subject like history, language, mathematics, computer, music, chemistry, economics, physical education, and so on and so forth. Okay. There will be also, it has been included, I think those who have read it fully, you must have gone through it. There will be also sociology. There will be also ECCE, early childhood care and education. Foundational literacy and numeracy is being added, the ethos and the tradition of our Greek Bharat. All these for what? All these are to be transmitted to the teachers in the institutes, and they have to take it to the classroom situation. So very good. No one thought it earlier that education should start right from the 3 years. This is the only policy which is made. Yeah, we have the provision. We send our children to school, our toddlers to the school. Where do we send? We send them to the English medium schools. What they learn? They learn the nursery rhymes. And what are the rhymes? London Bridge is falling down. Those kind of nursery rhymes the children go through. And the parents also feel proud when they recite in front of the people. But we have, besides having such a good in all the languages, whether in Marathi, whether in Assamese, whether in Manipuri, we have such a good children literature, such good children rhymes. That has not been considered so far, but this new policy has taken all this through the medium of storytelling. So that is really great. But all these preparations must be made by the teacher beforehand, how to take it to the classroom. Friends, next thing I want to come, that the policy has given time. It is not abruptly that from tomorrow, every higher education should get prepared. No, that is not possible. So they have given the time bound, that is 2030, to move to multidisciplinary institutes, all teacher education institutes. Okay? And the teacher education institutes, they will, the higher education institutes, they will also house, I'm repeating, they will also house the outstanding education department to offer B.Ed, M.Ed, and also PhD degree. That is, and the minimum qualification, I think you already must have read, that will be 4 years ITEP, Integrated Teacher Education Program. Now, next part, which I want to deal after going through the national education policy, and what I liked, that all the B.Ed programs will include the recent pedagogical training. A number of research works are going on, still going on in the pedagogical field. Those who are associated with teacher education, I think you must have read. The recent pedagogy will be introduced so that, which I said earlier, to face the students in the classroom. Then comes another very important area which the TEIs have to give importance is the foundational literacy and numeracy pedagogy. Now, what happens, my friends, right now till class 5, our children, most of our children, they cannot do the addition, they cannot do the subtraction, or they cannot do the multiplication well. There's a huge chunk of children, and even the literacy part. So this policy rightly said that the children should learn it from the very younger stage. They have, it's a mission. In literacy and the numeracy mission is taking a very important place in this policy. So in the teacher education institutes, in the higher education institute, when they'll go for the training, then this will be one of the important area where they will be trained in this pedagogy. Another area comes is the multi-level teaching and the evaluation process. And the evaluation process that will be finalized very soon, how the evaluation process will be. And teaching children with disabilities. Friends, I really feel very sad when I just think about the teacher training institutes and what they are, how they are training the trainees to deal with the children with disabilities or children with special abilities, as we say. Friends, we know that except the severe cases of disability, everybody has the right to attend the school. But the question is, how far the teachers are being trained? How are they trained to handle the children with slower learning? How they are handled to teach the children who have, these eyes, this vision impairment, or the hearing impairment, or the children who have some problem, or say the ADHD, the attention is fixed for a certain small time. So these are some of the areas which has been given importance in the teacher education. That is, the teachers have to reach, to understand the children, they have to reach these children who have certain problems, or whom we call now children with special needs. Children with special needs. ICT, even the former speaker, they've said the importance of ICT has been given. Then great, or I should say strong practicum in the local schools. Right now, what happens? As we find the teacher trainees in the standalone, institutes, the B.Ed colleges, the students, they take a letter from the head of the department and move from school to school asking permission to give them some time to teach the children. Sometimes the head of the department of the school or the principal or the headmistress, they deny that we cannot give you because our course has to be finished first. This is the situation in reality. I'm saying because I face it. Now, every higher education institute or the university, they have to tie up. They have to tie up with government and with private schools. where the trainees or where the students, they will do their practicum. Not only their practicum, they will also take part in all the activities of the school. In all the activities of the school. And beside that, the environmental awareness, which is also another very important part, which is being taken as a part of the ITEP issue, that is respecting the nature. The children must know the nature, how to respect the nature. Friends, these are just some of the areas I am highlighting in front of you, how the trainees, when they will enter into the ITAP, they have to go through, and how also they have to take it to their respective schools. And also, we find another very good provision for the first time, that is short post-B.Ed courses. Short post-B.Ed courses will be available in the multidisciplinary HEIs. On what? There will be courses like leadership training. In fact, friends, every teacher should be an academic leader. Every teacher needs to be an academic leader. Every teacher must know the management, educational management. So therefore, there will be post-B.Ed courses on management. There will be course on leadership training, on disabilities, on disabilities, and also how to move from one stage to the other stage, the 4 structures, that is from 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. That is also they have kept a provision to give a course on the teachers. And we are sometimes thinking that what kind of responsibilities will be given to the diets. As in every district, we have a diet. So diet will take one responsibility of additional responsibility of short teacher education programs. Short teacher education programs, and that will be hiring local persons or local master instructors. I think that will be a better term. Local master instructors for promoting training in knowledge, local knowledge, in skills, in business, sports, carpentry, and other vocational crafts. Because vocational itself is getting a very pertinent place in the National Education Policy 2020. So DIETS has to take this responsibility too. Now, coming to the curriculum, friends, as read by 2021, a new comprehensive curriculum framework for teacher education will be formulated by the NCT in consultation with the NCERT. Okay, and this framework will be developed in consultation with the state government and with the UTs also, and expert bodies which are available, because the question of regional languages comes, the question of translating the books into the regional languages come, the local arts, etc. Lots of things come. So the state government will be taking into great consideration over here. I just would like to refer this because many teachers here in Guwahati and also from others, they've asked me that what about the stand-alone teacher education institutes now? So when we talk about the stand-alone institutes, as we know, and frankly, if you ask me, I cannot say it is very satisfactory. I cannot say that. They have lots of problems. They have the compliance problem. They have, lots of faculty problem. So most of the teacher education institutes are facing problems for which they are sort of violating the norms. Giving compliance becomes very tough. So the regulatory system that will be empowered, as I read, that will be empowered to take action against the substandard TEIs. If they are not showing the performance, if they are not doing well, if they are not fulfilling the criteria, then beside that, to set the professional standard, a very good step has been taken, which we know as Professional Standard Setting Body, PSSB, There are lots of professional councils, when we talk about like the agricultural, vocational, even architectural. So even the NCT also is a part of this professional standard setting body and will play the key role in higher education, and with the others, they will be invited to the GEC, General Education Council, which is one of the pillar of Higher Education Commission of India. There will be 4 bodies under the Higher Education Commission of India, and GEC is one of them. And they can be, when we talk about the professional standard setting bodies, they can also be a part of the GEC. So friends, so we find that in the new vision, when we talk about the new vision in the teacher education, there is another important criteria which has come to my notice, that is, the norms will be applicable for network with the HI is to have a network with a private and government school. That is, nobody can deny, say that you cannot do. They have to make a sort of memorandum or an agreement, whatever you call, with the HEIs to allow the potential teachers to teach the students in their schools, whether it is a government school or whether it is a private school, including adult and vocational education. That has also been included. Now, coming to another part, that is the training of teachers. The training of teachers here in my home state, the in-service is not here right now, but in the national education policy, the continuous professional development system or the provision has been made. And you also know that I think that 50 hours a teacher must have professional or give time to the training, 50 hours per annum, per year, okay? He must give time for training, for in-service training. Okay, that's very good. That is because teachers need the upgradation of their profession all the time. So that is very welcome. But there is the provision of technological platforms, which we all know about the Swayam and the Diksha, that will be used extensively for training of teachers. That will be used extensively to train the teachers, because the technology can cover up a lot. And training of teachers has been taken up very seriously by the National Education Policy 2020, my friends. And a large number of teachers will be trained within a short span of time. Coming to another area, which is mentoring. Now, a national mission for mentoring shall be established. This is a very good thought which has come to the National Education Policy. That is, teachers who have retired, teachers who have a very sound background, teachers who are very much in their subject, they will be taken, their help will be taken to be the mentors for the teachers in the teacher education. Therefore, we find that when we consider the whole teacher education area which has been put over here, we find that so many new ideas have come into it. So many, even they have not sort of leave out the PhD students. We also find that those aspirants, those PhD students, irrespective, I'm repeating the word irrespective of discipline, will be required to take a credit-based course. Credit-based course on what? Teaching or education, pedagogy related to their specific field of PhD. They can also sometimes teach. Teaching will be also allowed to them. This is a good practice. Anyway, PhD students will also have minimum hours of actual teaching experience, and all the higher education institutes must give all these facilities to the aspirant PhD scholars. So we find that in each and every step, something new has come up in the policy. We are very optimistic. In fact, this will work, and we do need a change in teacher education, friends. I'm telling you, we do need a change in the teacher education, because it is moving from ethical to commercial. Some of them, not all. Some are extremely good. Some are extremely good. Now we have to do the back gear system. We have to bring from the commercial to ethical now by proper training. Teachers have to be trained. Teachers must be trained. And teachers have to take this profession as with a pure heart, with a pure mind. In each and every orientation course, when I go in the higher education or to the schools, I say one thing, I start with one thing. Friends, please take your profession with a very pure heart and pure mind. When you enter the classroom, you take that as if you are going to perform a havan, a yagya. We do the havan for the welfare of the society, for the welfare of the country. So like that, we have to enter with a pure heart and pure mind that we are doing the havan for whom? For our students, for our future leaders, for our future citizens, so that we can transform them. This is what the attitude, the mental setup of the teachers must be changed. Yesterday, I want to share it with you. One teacher has asked me in a webinar that so many things has been added in the school education. Will it be possible? I just gave a very short reply to that. I said, look, my friend, yes, lots of things has been added. It is very new to us. When the Maruti car came to India, some of us were discouraged not to buy Maruti because it will not run in the Indian roads. But now everybody has a Maruti car. Then I said, look, you may have some apprehension, but it is not that. If you take the policy positively, everything will be positive. If you take it negatively, that it is too much for you, then it will be negative for you, but not for the others. So I request you to work with head, to work with heart, and go ahead with it. This was the answer I gave yesterday. So friends, we welcome this, and we do need a change. We do need a very radical change in our education system so that we can build a new Bharat. We can build a new set of generations. We can inject into their minds the Indian culture, the Indian ethos, the Indian traditions, etc. And also, we can build them to have love and respect the country, and also to be very, very responsible citizens of this great country. With these words, I thank you all for giving me this opportunity to address you. And I thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Shashikala Vanjari. And I thank Ashish ji. He really communicated with me all these days. I am grateful to him. Sometimes in spite of work, I forget, but Ashish ji always reminded me through the text. I'm really thankful to him. He did tremendous good job to keep public relations. That means I think you have got a very good leader in your university who is guiding you, who is mentoring you from all the possible ways. So I'm extremely happy to be a part of this. And I do hope we'll be able to take this policy ahead and build a new Bharat. With this, I thank you again. Pranam and Namaskar.
Thank you, Nilima. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that very erudite and very exhaustive exposition of the new education policy with regard to its vision for teacher training. You very rightly point out that it attempts to professionalize teacher education, and it attempts to connect it with the masses of the people and with the culture of the nation through its multiple touch points, such as foundational pedagogy or multi-level teaching, teaching for special children with special needs, etc., etc. Thank you. This kind of exposition could have come only from a very experienced and very down-to-earth, rooted teacher. Thank you so much. We are indeed honored to have you with us here today. If you permit me, then there are a couple of questions that have come. Then
yes, I think I can take 2 questions. It is,
yes.
I'll be just, I leave this meeting at around 1:15. After
Sure.
10 minutes, I will leave.
Sure,
Yeah.
ma'am. I will pose both the questions to you and you can answer it the way you want.
Give me 1 question at a time. Otherwise, I'll get confused with 2 questions at the same time.
Okay. There is one question that a student has put in, and she says, what is the kind of role that teachers will have under the new education policy, and how is it going to change the way in which teachers are trained and teachers relate with the students? That is the first question.
Okay. Whoever has asked this question, I thank you for asking this question. First of all, my friend, it is always the mindset, how your mind works. Being a student of psychology, I said how your mind works, how you set your mind, that way you will work. Obviously, we always want change and we accept change. And change brings lots of, what you say, the robustness or say, or the dynamism in us to work ahead, isn't it? We always try to experience with something new. Therefore, I do feel the way of training that has been given great trust by this national education policy will not only enlighten the teachers, not only it will, sort of what I say, upgrade the knowledge of the teachers, but it will help them to transfer the knowledge to the classroom. Because our target, teachers' targets are always the student community ahead. You are being appointed as a teacher and your target, the first business, your first target will be the student community. You are doing this profession for them. Therefore, whatever thing has been said in this national education policy, it is for the development of the nation as a whole through the teachers. So therefore, teachers have to take this responsibility. It must come, from the inherent. I said it should be inherent, like the idea, as we say, must come from inner, to love and to respect your profession. When you love and respect your profession, everything comes automatically. You will be in time for the class, you will love your children, you'll prepare for your class, lesson, etc., etc. But if you don't have that love for the learners or for the learning, then getting into the class is fruitless. Nothing will happen. Therefore, friends, the training part will be given. Their knowledge will be updated from time to time, even through the platform of Diksha and Swayam. Plus, they will be trained in the variety of ethos, how to take it to the classroom, and the other areas which needs radical sort of change in the classroom. So the training will be possible. Training is not that a very hard job for the teachers to take. They have to go, but their mind should be in the training. They should be involved 100% in the training. Then only it will be effective. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you
and the second question?
Yeah, second question. There is one question which says that, and I add to that also, that the new teacher education policy recognizes the shortcomings in teacher education, teacher training, teacher recruitment, etc. And therefore, as you rightly said, says standalone teaching institutions have to be affiliated with universities. Do you think that this is going to create some kind of a divide between between people who enter into the vocation? Is it going to lead to, say, for instance, defeminization of teaching as a profession, because recruitment, training, etc., becomes far more difficult under the situation? And maybe a young student that after class 12 has to decide whether she wants to be a teacher or not. So will it create a divide as far as women entering profession today, majority of the teachers of the primary and early childhood are women. Even at the higher education level, the percentage is fairly high. So will this entire process, will it hamper women and other people from the tier 2, tier 3 cities, etc., from getting into this profession?
I don't think so it will. If you take it, it will, then it will, whatever you think. There is no difference between, like a man getting into the profession or a woman getting into the profession. I don't believe in that. Whoever, a man or a woman, he must be dedicated, he must be accountable, he must be responsible once he thinks, decides, goes, or he will enter into this profession. Because teaching profession is the master of all the profession.
Right.
Teaching profession is the master of all the profession. Whether somebody is a, what we say, IPS officer or an IS officer, even our honorable Prime Minister of the country, he was also taught by a teacher. So the teacher is in the epitome. So it is the decision, it is the choice, first of all. Everybody and anybody cannot be a teacher. I also tell you that. Each and anybody, if we just bring someone, call someone, they come, you get into this profession. No, that will be not fruitful. So those who are genuine, they want to. We have, because when I do the counseling, because as I'm an adolescent counselor, I teach about a year back. When I went to one, I'll just tell you my experience. When I went to one women's college in Nagaon, in Assam, I interacted at the last moment. I asked them that how many of you are coming with real intention to college? You tell me. Then they all put their head down. Nobody will give the answer. Then I just asked them, okay, friends, be very frank with me. How many of you want to be what is in your mind? Believe me, out of 55 students, 20 students, they raised their hands. Ask them that how come there are so many professions nowadays in the 21st century skill that you want to be a teacher, either in an elementary school or in a secondary school? Then most of them said, it is not that what kind of school, ma'am. Teaching is a noble profession, and we have seen very good teachers in front of us. And one very matured girl, she told me that the school where I studied, the principal was and is even now the role model. So I have imbibed that interest to become a teacher in life. And that is why I will, after completion of my graduation, I will go for the B.Ed, and then I will enter into the profession. That is why, my friends, training is possible. Where there is a will, there is a way. You always remember that. And you have to take teaching profession. At least you have to take this profession very seriously. Very seriously, friend. It is possible. It is possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. There may be many more questions, but I think we are running short of time. So thank you so much, and we are grateful to our Honorable Vice Chancellor and Dr. Pranad for bringing such eminent galaxy of speakers to this webinar. Thank you so much, and I hand you over to Professor Veera Shankar for the formal vote of thanks.
I am just very happy that the Honorable Vice Chancellor is, taking this leadership in this pandemic period to host all this virtually. And this is what is one of the plus point of the pandemic, that we are bringing the teaching community together. And I'm so happy to see my friend virtually today. See you all. Even Ashish, I was talking with him over phone. I have seen him today virtually. So this is something we're enjoying. It is something we're enjoying, really. Thank you very much, and pranam to all.
We are indeed blessed, ma'am, to have you and to have such a motivated leadership amongst us. Meera, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Manish.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So,
yes, I will leave the meeting now. Thank you.
Madam, you can stay here by the time she is gone. Okay. आज के इस प्रोग्राम को सफल बनाने में योगदान देने के लिए मैं आप सभी का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करना चाहती हूँ। सबसे पहले तो हमारी माननीय कुलगुरु प्रोफेसर शशिकला वंजारी जी का मैं हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ, जिनके कुशल नेतृत्व में ये प्रोग्राम किया जा रहा है। आज के एमिनेंट स्पीकर मिस्टर आर रमनन, प्रोफेसर SK शुक्ला जी और प्रोफेसर नीलिमा भागवती जी का भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करना चाहती हूँ, जिन्होंने अपना बहुमूल्य समय इस प्रोग्राम के लिए दिया और NEP 2020 के वेरियस डायमेंशंस के बारे में इतनी अच्छी, सरल और सहजता से जानकारी दी। थैंक यू ऑल ऑफ देम मैडम एंड सर। इसके सारे डिग्नेटरीज, हमारे टीम के सभी सहयोगी सदस्य जो प्रत्यक्ष और परोक्ष रूप से इस प्रोग्राम को सफल बनाने के लिए लगे रहे, उनका आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ। फाइनली सभी और दर्शकगण जो हमसे फेसबुक और यूट्यूब के माध्यम से हमसे जुड़े रहे, मैं उनका भी हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करना चाहती हूँ। अंत में मैं कहना चाहती हूँ कि ये हमारी VC मैडम के लिए बिल्कुल सही बैठता है। मंजिल उन्हीं को मिलती है जिनके सपनों में जान होती है, पंख से कुछ नहीं होता, हौसलों से उड़ान होती है। How can I forget to thank Dr. Ashish Panas sir? I forgot to mention his name, but yes, he is part of our team. So thank you very much, sir, for giving this opportunity to all of us to be here. इसके साथ ही अगर हमसे कुछ त्रुटि हो गई हो, कुछ क्षमा हो, तो हम क्षमा चाहते हैं, क्योंकि शुरू में टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम आ गई थी जिसकी वजह से प्रोग्राम थोड़ा सा हेवाया हो गया है। तो आई होप सभी लोग, हम लोगों को, पूरे सदस्यों को क्षमा करेंगे कुछ गलती हो गई हो तो। और इसी के साथ ये आशा करते हैं कि हम सबसे कल फिर 11 बजे मिलेंगे। और उसके साथ ही साथ मैं इस आज के प्रोग्राम को समाप्त करने की VC मैडम से अनुमति लेना चाहती हूँ। और once again, thank you everyone. धन्यवाद। Thank you, madam. I think madam is not here. Anas sir?
Yes, she is not there. We can close the.
हाँ sir.